Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, my name is Melina Landrio. Guys, thanks for sharing space with me today. I'm going to share a message with you guys about a dream that I had yesterday. And I'm just going to go with the flow of what Spirit wants me to do here. I'm not sure if I'm going to jump into a reading or not. So I feel like the message alone is pretty much what should be said, but we'll see what Spirit says. There's also something entering into this reading. There's something about like closing of energy. Closing of something, like something is closed off, something is closing, something's not there, it's closed. There's a barrier or a border up. There's something going on with that and the energy. A couple of names came to mind in this particular energy, which could be the name Ben, the name Sarah, and the name Lisha came up into play for this reading, so those names might be significant to some of you. I'm gonna try to figure out where to start this dream off because it was a few pieces in a dream. You know how dreams can be. My dreams kind of can be all over the place at times. So I'm gonna show you this stone. I'm really happy I have this stone. See this color of stone here? See how there's like lighter colors and then a little bit darker. This is the color of the cobblestone that I'm describing in this dream that I saw. It's like a beigey light colored cobblestone. So that's the colors that I saw. More so the lighter of the colors, but I think there was dirt and stuff that made them look darker like the other one. So it was like I was watching this particular part of the dream, like maybe I was like watching it on the news, but it was like I was there live. But I was like seeing a panel with like words written. I don't remember what the words said. So I was watching this area and it happened to be like this corner. And like on this corner, I don't know what's on the right of it. And I don't know what's really beyond it, except I think there's a sidewalk there. There could be maybe a street or some form of transit or travel can happen on this area. And this corner was what was being illuminated in regards to this news station anchoring this as a forecast or something significant. Something about like liquid or water pooling into this area. It could be like when there's a storm and water backs up, this could be an area that happens to, or this is an area where water tends to flow to because the area kind of like slanted down in a way. It's like, it's not like cobblestone's not really like straight. It's kind of wobbly and all over the place sometimes. So I feel like there's significance in regards to like the corner, like it's on an angle. Maybe it kind of pulls downwards. Anyways, I saw this man in my dream, like walking from the sidewalk. He was like walking from the sidewalk and he had to go into this area, in this cobblestone area. Now this area where I'm like watching like what looks like a news, like I'm watching it on a newscast or something. I believe it has like, I'm seeing black benches, but I'm not actually seeing benches in the dream at this point. But I feel like this is like maybe a courtyard. This could be an area where people sit. Something significant with that. And anyway, this man, he was very tall, like he could be 6'2", 6'5". I think his name might be Ben, or Ben could be significant in regards to this particular man. He was wearing like a white shirt and he had these like brownish red shoes, leather shoes. I feel like they're like this kind of color, but maybe a little bit more brown. And he was wearing maybe denim pants, a white shirt. He was muscular build up top, but like a swimmer's build. Very tall man, blondish reddish hair, like a strawberry blonde maybe. Curly hair, shorter, but like maybe like that long and just gelled. I couldn't really see his facial features, but I get the sense like I'm not gonna put any facial features on him from what I think I'm seeing because I didn't see that in the dream, so I'll just leave it at that. This man was walking, and in this area that was being broadcasted, it was like he stepped down into the corner and like he got his foot wet in whatever this liquid substance is, which might be sewage, by the response that he gave, because he kind of was like, oh, my shoes, like I stepped in piss or something like that. Like I got the sense that there's something like that you don't want to step in. So that was that. And then all of a sudden it's like I'm in the dream, but I'm like looking at myself in the dream. Because I don't think it's me. I think I'm in it representing a character in the dream, like a person in the dream. And this woman is wearing a pink, like a light pink dress. Like, I don't know if you guys can see this light pink heart, but it's like a light pink dress. And it had like what looks like rhinestones all over it, like sequins. Like it was really shiny. I feel like it was rhinestones. I feel like she could be wearing these like silvery white gloves as well. And her hair was short. She almost looked like Marilyn Monroe with the style of hair. It was really curled, like it was curly, wavy hair, really beige blonde, like light blonde, like wheat beige, kind of, no yellow. Really nice hair color, actually. And she was walking out in this beautiful shiny dress. And she was with like I feel like there was a group of women there, but I wasn't seeing all the people she was with. I just feel like there was women there, and some could be like maybe friends of hers or like people she once knew. They could have been there as well. And it was like they were coming out of these doors, which to me made me think of like City Hall. And they were walking down these steps, into this cobblestone courtyard kind of area. And they were walking like they were going somewhere. So maybe there was something to do inside this town hall or whatever it was, this location. And then they were heading somewhere dressed up. I feel like an award ceremony or something. I don't know. And they're walking out into this courtyard area where I feel like this is where I know there's benches, and I feel like they're black metal benches, and they're like placed like there's one here, like they're like one here, like one here, and like a square. And as we're walking, and I'm gonna just talk from my point of view. I know there's people there, but it's like they're not necessarily talking with one another. They're all going somewhere together, but not necessarily like friends. It's like a business type of thing. It's friendly, you know what I mean? And so they're walking, and I'm walking in this dream, and I look up to my left, and this, by the way, this corner with the water liquid thing was on the right side of this dream when I'm looking at it. And so this now part of it where she comes out, the one who looks like me comes out, is on the left. And so I'm walking out and dressed up, trying to walk through this cobblestone court area, which, I mean, any woman knows walking in heels is difficult as it is, but walking on cobblestone that's a feat. So, well, at least for me it would be. Anywho, I look up to my left, like it's like a plane went over top, and it was very low. So, like, I looked, I'm sure everybody looked, I didn't notice what other people were doing, but I looked to watch the plane because, you know, the wind, and it was very low. And I remember looking, and it's like the plane went over and went to go up like this, but then kind of came back down, and then went to go up like this, and then just came back down and kept coming back down towards me. It hit me, and it pinned me underneath this back bench. I was wrapped around the bench, and it went over. It's like it hit me, threw me to the ground. The something underneath it, like maybe the wheels, pushed me into this bench, and it kept going, probably destroying whatever was beyond me. I was knocked out cold. Now, I'm going to talk about a story because the knocked out cold part just triggered that memory for me. So let me just write that down, because I'm going to talk about that after this dream is done being expressed, because I guess there's some sort of significance here. Okay, so when I woke up, I was shocked that I got hit by a plane, and I woke up, and obviously I believe in God. Like, I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I'm alive, right? It got by God's grace. And all the people I was with were there, but they were all sitting around. Some people I knew, I recognized. And nobody was paying attention, like asking if I was okay. Like, nobody seemed to give a shit that I just got hit by a plane and was knocked out fucking cold. And like, I could have died. And nobody like really cared about it at all. And I remember like one person came up to me and I just said, you know, God is real. And they kind of rolled their eyes and walked away. So like, there could be a lot of people who don't believe in God in regards to this message that you might be dealing with, because this was like, or not even giving a shit about you being hurt or something, because nobody seemed to care that I like survived. Like, these out of the people that were with me that saw this happen, nobody seemed to care. And I don't think any of them got hurt. Like, I feel like they got out of the way, or they were able to get out of the way, because it didn't seem like anybody was injured. And the funny thing and the interesting thing is that in the dream, I knew I was hurt. Like, I obviously I was hurt. I got hit by a plane, right? But it wasn't that bad. Like, it was like I was getting up and I was walking and I was okay. And I knew there was like a little bit of like maybe bruising or something on my left side of my body, because that's where it hit me. Kind of my left and maybe my front or my back. I don't remember, but it would be the left side. And yeah, and then I remember like in the dream also, it was like for whatever reason, like this news channel, like maybe social media. It's like I'm seeing people post about this, like, oh my God, look at this, look at this, look at this. And like each person that was there was like, oh my God, I was there. It was like this for me, and it was like this for me, and it was like this for me. And all these people are commenting underneath each of these people. But the person who represented me in the dream posted this. Like, I was the one who was hit. I almost died. I'm alive. And not one person. Crickets. Like, nobody cared. Like, it wasn't even being observed. Nobody could see it. And did anything else happen beyond that? I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I think that's the dream. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more. I think that's just the dream. So, I mean, obviously, this could go a few ways. Maybe I'm having a dream because there's going to be something like this happening, where a plane maybe hits somebody in a courtyard, where there's some sort of sewage problem. I'm not trying to laugh if this is a real thing that's happening, but it's just a weird dream. Or maybe like this could also represent going through a fucking hell of a lot, and like a lot that the equivalent of it would be being hit by a plane, and nobody batting an eye, nobody like acknowledging you, nobody seeing the pain and suffering that you're going through, although it's clear that you're going through it. Nobody reaching out that should be reaching out, nobody caring who should be caring, just silence from everybody. So that could be significant as well. That was, you know, that kind of resonates for myself. You know, when you go through some hard times, and then you see who is really by your side, right? So that could be significant. Now, while I was in the dream sharing it with you guys, I was reminded of a bus accident that I was in, and I'm being guided to share this. So this could be significant for some of you in some way, shape, or form, or it could be helpful. I remember I was working at a salon. I just became a hairdresser. This isn't like, I was done all my hours. Like, I did training and I did all my work placement hours, and I now could work where I could finally get paid, because I had all the hours to be licensed, or to start to get the paid hours to get licensed. And I worked like really long days. I worked in a really busy salon. I was working 12-hour days, and like 6 days a week, maybe a day off or two, depending on the week. I think I got 2 days off, but they were never back to back, so you never felt rested. especially when you're at the beginning of being a hairdresser. You get the grunt shifts. You don't get the weekends off. No hairdresser gets the weekend off. And I remember going home late at night. I worked a night shift till 9, and I got on the bus with a friend of mine. And I remember this friend of mine kept trying to get me to get off the bus and go to the bar with her. She wanted me to go drinking at the local bar, the Broken Q. But I was too tired. I hardly ate that day. I was eating pizza. I think I had my lunch in my bag, and I started eating pizza, or maybe she had a piece of pizza. I don't know where the pizza came from, but I had a slice of pizza. And I'm sitting on the bus. She got off the bus, and I stayed on the bus to go home. I could have got off with her and walked, but I decided to stay on the bus. I was too tired. And on the bus gets to like a light where it has to turn. And as it's turning, this car is, I guess, running through the light at the same time that this other car is turning. And the bus driver had to slam on their brakes. And I was sitting in the elderly people, pregnancy people seating at the front of the bus. I don't know if this is a worldwide thing, but in Ottawa, we have an area that's for pregnant people and elderly people, people who are in need of special seating or close to the front seating. Priority seating. Anyways, I was sitting there because it was a completely empty bus. There's just a few people on the bus. And I flew 3 seats into the metal bar with my head, like right here. It landed like right here. I had an indent in my head of a metal bar. I was knocked out cold. And I woke up, and there's like maybe 4 or 5 people on the bus, and they were like hovering over me, looking down on me like, oh my God, are you okay? The bus driver was freaking out. And by fluke, which was weird, my younger brother happened to be nearby, walking by, and just randomly comes over to the bus, which was kind of weird. Like, and then he saw it was me, and I used somebody's cell phone to call my mom back then. Like, I was a teenager, like a young adult, like just starting out, and I didn't have a phone at the time. I don't think I was about to get one. I don't even know if phones were a big thing. Anywho, it doesn't matter. Pagers were still a thing back then. And my mom showed up and drove me to the hospital where I had a CAT scan done. And because of being knocked out cold and the severity of the injury, they couldn't tell what type of long-term seriousness I was going to be dealing with. So this kind of leads me to why I'm doing tarot now. I guess this is why they maybe want me to talk about this, because I feel like, yeah, I guess I haven't really shared that with this online platform really when I started doing tarot again. So when I was younger, anywho, yeah, because of the situation, the bus accident, I have I started noticing memory like problems, like forgetfulness. And I never, like, because I have also, I'm not diagnosed, but I'm a freaking candidate. Like, I could be a poster child for ADHD. And I don't really need the diagnosis because I wouldn't take the medicine anyways, but my personal preference. But yeah, so, sorry guys, my brain goes a bit all over the place here. Help me stay focused, please. Yeah, so I was noticing my, like, as I got older, like my brain, like my memory wasn't the same as it once was. I was just noticing little things that I was doing. Like I would get pins and needles in my arms right away after for hours. Like when I blow dried hair, like I was really good at straightening curly hair. And I remember like blow drying someone's hair for 45 minutes to straighten it, 45 minutes to an hour, thick curly hair. And like my whole arm fingers would be tingling for a good hour or so afterwards. So that was like some of the situation that I had. I also found right after, like, I used to read tarot card and oracle card, but I stopped doing it then at that time because it bothered my brain to read the words and connect the answers. There was something with that at the time that I couldn't do. It was really frustrating. And I think I just got busy with hairdressing and life and moving on to, the next phase of, being a young adult. And so as I got older and had children and moved on, and I started noticing my memory wasn't doing so good. And my spirit guides guided me to start to read my cards again. Like, they kept kind of nudging me for years and I ignored them. But, sorry guys, my mouth and lips get really dry when I do readings. But yeah, so I finally was pushed into a predicament situation where I felt like, you know what? I'm not going to bother wasting any more time in this facade of whatever things were for me in that moment. And I'm going to just start doing what I'm here to do. And I'm going to utilize my gifts. And I'm not going to be dictated on how to utilize my gifts. And this is where I really started embracing who I was, because I was in this like shamanic type healing space and I just felt very limited and it just wasn't very supportive. And there was a lot going on that I just found out about towards the end that just didn't rub me the right way. It was very illusionary. The facade that's showcased as what the place represents, and I discovered that it wasn't that. So it didn't align with who I am morally and in my beliefs, and I decided to start to do what my spirit guides kept guiding me to do, what my ancestors wanted me to do, which was utilize my mediumship and utilize my gifts. And they guided me to do the cards because it would help my memory. It would help somebody like me with my memory because I was having difficulty with my memory. So I started to do the readings again. And, you might notice I sometimes read the pamphlets. Like I do my best with my intuition and I share what I think things are. But sometimes, especially because all the cards have different, they may have a base meaning, but different decks have different meanings, right? Some decks are darker, some decks are later. So I sometimes might just reference it to see what illuminates, because spirit shows me things the way I see. I sometimes see things illuminated and it just shows me this is what spirit wants me to talk about. And sometimes I feel things get illuminated, or I just know things get illuminated, or I hear things and by illuminate to me, because I have all the clairs, right? So I'm able to utilize without the decks. I could do a reading without a deck of cards, but the cards are there to help with the pictures. They're kind of nice. I enjoy reading them. Anywho, the whole point is they wanted me to tell you that bus story. They wanted me to tell you about the accident. They wanted me to tell you why I started doing these readings again. And it was essentially just to get back to my roots of who I am and where I come from, because I come from a lineage of people who have gifts and have hidden talents and special abilities in doing things. And the way my brain works is different than many people. But like I said, if I were to be diagnosed with ADHD, I wouldn't take the medication. And I'm not a doctor to advise this. This is not doctor's advice. I'm not a doctor. But for me, personally, witnessing the effects of medication with my father growing up, who had mental illness, I just saw more issues with the medication than when he was not on the medication. And I could tell that story another day. Or now, okay, I'm just going with the flow of what spirits wanted me to say. Okay, so, gosh, I'm going in a loop with you guys today. There's the dream, then now my bus accident, and why I'm doing tarot. And, yeah, so my dad was medicated all of my life. He was on all the medications. He was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And so, although my dad was there, I didn't feel like I had much of a dad, only just in comparison to all my friends who had fathers who would, take them to places and go to like baseball games or show up at their award ceremonies at school or whatever it was. I just didn't really get that chance with my dad, unfortunately. And that's tough growing up as a kid. We get raised in these circumstances and we we really don't know anything much beyond what we experience as a human being, right? And when we look outside at everybody else, it looks so much better than our life, right? Especially as a kid, because you have nothing else to compare it to, right? And if you live in a home like mine where there's addictions and there's mental illness, it's not an easy environment to be brought up in. So my dad was passing. He got sick with cancer, esophagus cancer. And I had my daughter, my firstborn was 2 at the time. And my mom was working, and she had recently brought home my great aunt, who was somebody who was taken advantage of. So she was an elderly woman in her 90s, and somebody had taken advantage of her and stolen all of her life savings and stuff. She lived out in she lived out in Windsor, I think. Anywho, my mom wasn't informed that people were using her account and stuff. My mom being the main person in charge of her accounts, but there was a woman that she had lived with for years that, made it seem like everything. Made it seem like everything was okay with my aunt, but in the reality of it, my mom got a phone call, I guess, from the bank, or something alerted her that there was something wrong, and my mom went down there and saw the living circumstances that my aunt was actually living in, and the person who was supposed to be helping take care of her, who wasn't taking care of her at all, was treating her like an animal. And so my mom brought her back home to live with my dad and her. And my dad got diagnosed with cancer shortly after. He lost a lot of weight, and he, in a year, a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And we found out what it was after a long, test after test after test of trying to figure it out. And we found out it was cancer, and he had 4, I don't remember now. This is a little while ago, but 4 years or 4 months to live. It was 4 months to live. Could be 4 months to live. And he was in stage 4 aggressive cancer. And so at that time, my mom was frazzled because she was working. She was the head of the largest department and wherever she worked. And so I volunteered to come help take care of my dad and my great aunt with my daughter. So I would wake up early, feed my daughter, drive over there so my mom could go to work. I would feed my dad and my aunt, take care of them, whatever their needs were, help them to the bathroom, whatever it was. Wait for the nurse to arrive, because there was a nurse that had to come a few times a day to help take care of him. Anywho, I would drive there for my mom to go, and then I would leave briefly to drive my daughter to her nursery school. So I would drive back, so I would drive there, which would take me 25 minutes, and back another 25 minutes, and then drop my daughter off at nursery school, come back another 25 minutes, meet the nurse, make sure they're okay and settled, and then I would go back and pick up my daughter, another 25 minutes, and then come back another 25 minutes, and then hang out the rest of the day until 6 o'clock at night or whenever my mom came home. And I did this every day until my dad passed, while my mom was working, except for weekends. I would come on the weekends too and help out, but it was just me. My brothers were helping, I'm sure, in other ways, but I was the one doing the main grunt work like that from early morning till the nighttime. And I didn't complain. I was very honored to be able to help my father at the end of his life. And their spirits encouraging me to share this story because my dad being schizophrenic, my dad having a diagnosis of schizophrenia, often would be told that whatever he was seeing or saying wasn't there. Like, he would see somebody or speak to somebody that nobody else could see, and he would say, people would look at me like, no, you're not there, you're not seeing it, you've got an illness. And that would be the escape of acknowledging something that made people uncomfortable. My family was always uncomfortable with things that I could do, because growing up I saw things that weren't there, I heard things that weren't there, and I challenged their beliefs in this regard. And instead of accepting me and who I am, they gaslit me and manipulated me to think that I was crazy too if I continued to talk like that. Although I was predicting deaths, and before people could tell me someone died, I predicted many deaths in my family at the exact times that they died, or births, or, you know, just say things that people would be like, oh my God, how did she know that? I don't know how I know things. I just know things. I just be knowing. Spirits telling me stuff, right? And, but yeah, even though I'm accurate and I say things, there's still be no like closed down like energy at the beginning of this video, because nobody wanted to accept that it was possible. And that was my struggle. The majority of my life was being authentically who I am and not giving a fuck about what you guys think. Because all my life, and I don't mean you guys, because obviously you believe in this or you're watching me for a purpose because you probably aren't uncomfortable with it. You know it exists, right? But for those who don't understand it or don't believe it and who find it uncomfortable or want to pass it off, because I say things sometimes and people get uncomfortable because they cannot believe I know the shit I know. And so, but instead of acknowledging it, like, whoa, I'm kind of uncomfortable because that just blew my mind. Yeah, I get people like that too. Like, they're thankful for me for the things I say or I share. But I often have been met with people who just can't accept that I am able to do that since I was little. Born. I'm born this way. So you can imagine how, at the end of my dad's life, this is the story that this is ADHD, guys. This is how I know I have it. I go back and forth. I'm all over the place with it. It's a very interesting mindset. But yeah, I remember we all spent time with my dad at the end of his life. I predicted his death. I predicted when he would die, pass on. And but while he was passing, he went to hospice. But right before his last night in the home, something cool happened. And that's what I'm going to share now with you. So my dad, all of my life, my dad was just, oh, you're just seeing things. It's just your illness. It's not really there. It's nothing significant. And, you know, sadly, I was also gaslit to not believe that that was there. And I also would say the same to him because I was really actively trying to cut off things. But although it was never able to be cut off, and nobody ever really engaged me in understanding my gifts, that it was difficult for me to understand when they were happening necessarily. I don't know if you understand that, but anywho. So I remember my dad was sitting there and they had the hospital bed in the house. They had to move the couch off the wall. So there's like this hospital bed here. And my dad is sitting here in a chair. And I'm sitting next to him in a little chair. Like he's in the comfy, you know, the lounge chair. And there's a little like wooden chair next to him. And I'm sitting there. The bed's behind me. And in front of us is the couch that would normally be on the wall where the bed is. Where my mom and my brother, I think, were sitting. One of my brothers. And I remember my dad, and this is around the time that I was starting to really embrace who I was. I was starting to, like, I believe I had healing gifts. I was really interested in learning how to do Reiki. I became a Reiki master, and I was starting to contemplate that. Like, I was starting to engage my gifts. I started to realize I was a medium, and that really took a weight off my shoulder because I thought I was crazy. I was taught that I was crazy all my life, but really I was a medium. And I was actually seeing and hearing things when I did. And it was validated for me several times, which is why I knew that. But anywho, I'm sitting there with my dad, and he's really weak. He hasn't eaten. He's not able to keep food down anymore. Like, he's very sick. He's passing, and he's got esophagus cancer, okay? And I'm sitting next to him, and he kind of looks up at me. And I notice as he looks up at me, he looks beyond me. And then he looks back at me and he puts his head back down and he kind of sits like this, like just very weak. And I said to him, I turned around and I looked and I saw what he saw. And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, Dad, did you just see something? And he looked up at me and was like, no, yeah. And I'm like, I know you saw something. You saw a woman. And he looked up at me. He's like, yeah. And then I described her, like T for T. And he, every time I said what she, like something about her, what she looked like, he was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just perking right up, like, holy moly, you see what I see. And I said, I know, Dad, you know. And I was told, like, I understood that he saw her for him to be guided back to me when he passes, because he was going to pass. And, you know, death doesn't really scare me. It's not something that's scary to me. It's something that is natural. It's just like being born, right? When you're passing, you're being birthed back into spirit. And when you're being born, you're being birthed into life. So it's there's like they're two of the same, just different stages. And that's just how I've always viewed it. And my dad is like just really perked up because finally at the end of his life somebody actually saw what he saw. So because of that and just what I saw and witnessed the next few weeks before he passed, because he went into hospice the next day, pardon me, and just I was there every day with him, and I was there when he took his last breath. I was in the room. I saw his spirit leave his body, and I just knew, like, it was just he was the most normal that I've ever seen him when he was not medicated. But when he was in my life medicated, he was not there. He was not present. He was always sick. Something was wrong. So just my own observation. Again, this is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor. This is just from personal experience, and this is my personal opinion that I can formulate because I've witnessed and lived this. And I just don't want to take medication if I can. I just want to learn how to work with my brain the way I work with it. And I'm not expecting other people to work with me if they don't understand my brain, but I am expecting people to hold space for me and to be, if you're going to come and approach me, I will know whether you're going to be holding space for me or not. I tend to feel and see things pretty deeply. And medication, I just feel, would numb out who I am. And I'm finally able to be who I am wholeheartedly. And I don't really care what other people think about it. And I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm me. And that's all that really matters. And being a mom of 4, I want my kids to learn this right away. I don't want to dull their light. They're such shiny, beautiful little children. And they're going to shine and thrive because I'm making a point to ensure that they do not live the same type of experiences that I had to live. And, you know, we all go through hardships, right? Even our children, even when we try our best to make things good, they have their own life paths that they're here to live and be like you. It's like people think, it's like, I notice a lot of people like to make the comment, lately I've noticed a lot of people making a comment like, well, there are no bad children, there's only bad parents. And I thought to myself, well, but children also are their own people. And although, like, there could be parents that are neglectful and that such, yes, they're bad parents, but I don't know, I was neglected a lot of my life, and I didn't go around neglecting people or acting like an ass. I mean, I did some shitty things when I was a kid, but that was more a cry for help, right? And so the sad part about it is I'm seeing people in today's society looking at kids who might be, you know, acting a certain way or, you know, not controlled, really, is what they're trying to imply. Like if a kid is hyper or running around acting like a kid would act, and an older person is the people that I'm noticing are saying this, not about my kids, but just about children. I just find it fascinating, just the idea that kids can just stop and just prop up and just be, I don't know, my kids don't do that. I just let them be. I mean, they have to learn to be respectful, yes, and we do encourage that, and we do express there's environments where it's not appropriate to run around and play, right? Like a funeral would not be at an appropriate place. But I was at a funeral recently, and my son, my 3-year-old, 4-year-old, I think it was 3. Yeah, 3-year-old, obviously is not going to sit still. And nobody seemed to care that he was running around. And I kept having to take him up and down the stairs. That's just how it goes sometimes with kids. So, I mean, to think that kids are just going to follow suit and just line up and do, I don't know. Kids don't do that. I feel like they come with their own little personalities and stuff. And I feel like the more you fight them, the harder it is. And I mean, it's never easy having children. It's a little life that you have to try to mold. And they come with attitudes and they come with stories, you know? Like two of my children go to my ex for 5 days a month, every other weekend. They come back and it's like a huge realignment back into our lives just for a few days away. So we're human, right? Anywho, that was my dream. That was a little bit of an intro into my life. I had to help, I wanted to help take care of my dad when he was at the end of his life. And I learned a lot in those days. And I guess that bus accident is significant maybe for some of you too. Maybe the story with my father, maybe some of it will be helpful for some of you in some way, shape, or form. I don't really know why Spirit wanted me to share those with you, but they encouraged me to share that. So, and yeah, I didn't think we were going to do some cards today. So maybe that's why they just wanted me to share some stories and I guess maybe introduce you a little bit to me. I'm a bit awkward on the camera, I think. I watch all these lovely tarot card readers when I have the opportunity to, and I find them all pretty fascinating, and their characters and just the way that they showcase their readings, and it's all beautiful. Like, I find it very interesting the way we all think differently, but there's a very similar aspect to each of the messages that come out. And but yeah, Spirit wanted me to come on. I know it's been a few days since I've been here. I've been looking. We've been trying to declutter. I don't know if you could see my house is a bit messy. I'm trying to we're trying to declutter and organize and just get things ready. We tend to do this time of year before Christmas because we live in such a small place. It's hard to get a Christmas tree in here without moving things around or getting rid of stuff, and that means lugging it from one location to another in the house. So yeah, it's been busy, and I have also found all these rocks. I have so many rocks that I've collected since I was a child, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? And Spirit guided me to I'm going to get this out here so I can show you. Spirit guided me to make these little rocks here. So I might use these, I guess, for my reading sometime. I made these little like alphabet letters to represent, I don't know, maybe we'll find some information out. I tried it out today, and it was kind of interesting what was coming up when I was doing these little trials on my own personal reads today. And yeah, it was interesting because I would hear Spirit say the word, and then I would look and I would see the word, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of interesting how it works. I don't know if anybody else does these. I think there is a tarot reader that I've seen do something like this as well. I'm not sure how they work with it, if that's how they hear it or not, but it's kind of cool. She's a great show. I like her. Her name is Linda Likes Tarot, I think. She's wonderful. I really like her shows. I feel like she should have a show. She's like, I don't know. She's very entertaining. I really enjoy her personality. She's got a wonderful show. If you haven't heard of her, you should check her out. Sometimes a little bit long, but you get the gist of the message and an aspect of it if you want to watch just a portion. She's pretty she's pretty accurate, I find, with some of the ones that have resonated with me. But yeah, she's got a really nice personality in the way she does her readings. So I really enjoyed that. So when I saw the rocks and then Spirit's like, you should do this, I was like, oh, hey, I will do this. So we'll see how it comes when I decide to do them. But yeah, I don't know. That's the message, I think, for today. And it's awkward for me because I sit here and I'm like, oh, I just shared so much stuff with you guys. And that's hard for me because I've not been I guess it's a bit cathartic or healing for me as well, because I've not been really able to share a lot of my life with people. And when I do share it, I feel rushed in sharing it, or I just don't feel like I'm being listened to, or like people just don't, they're just shut off. They don't get it. And so, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, shutdown energy is very significant in this message. So I guess in a way I do it too. Spirit wanted me to share a little bit of who I am with you guys. And so you got a little nugget there today, or a big nugget maybe. I don't know. Quite a piece, I think. But I really do enjoy doing these videos. I do enjoy sharing space with you guys. I am going to come in and do a reading soon. So bear with me. I'm not always going to be the everyday reader. Well, I mean, I say that now and then Spirit's like, oh yeah, let's do this, you know. But I go with the flow of it, and I have a lot of other things that I am aspiring to do in regards to my mission here, where I'm heading in the rest of my life. And I can't wait to share these things with you guys when they're ready to be shared. But they're just really heartwarming for me, and they're very exciting for me. And so sometimes when I'm not here, I'm also self-employed, and I create my own work. So when I'm not here, I'm doing other work. And I don't do personal reads yet, guys. I'm not sure if that's something that's calling me at this time. My life is very busy with 4 kids, and also being self-employed and trying to just get things flowing the way I need them to flow for the future, for our future. So bear with me, but I will come in and I will do readings at least once a week. I do try to come in as often as I can. But I don't always get like crazy messages. Like, I mean, I get lots of downloads, but it's like if the time permits, I'm not being held captive to do them, because I know other people are doing similar messages anyway. So I know Spirit is having grace with me because they see what I deal with. And yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm very happy to see you guys today, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I don't know what the dream was about. Maybe it's something that's going to happen. Maybe it's just to let you know that maybe you're not alone. Maybe you went through some hardship and you felt like nobody was there for you. And, you know, just these struggles that we go through, they really mold and shape us for the future. You know, I never really realized all the pain that I had gone through, a lot of the pain that I had gone through, that it was kind of like boot camp for me to grow into where I'm supposed to be in this life. And, you know, the moment I was able to realize that, you know, it just really flicked the switch on me on how my perspective changed, because it was a lot of hardship really early for me. And like, I'm talking a child. And nobody recognized it, nobody cared, and nobody thought about it. And there was just so much stuff I was dealing with that was hard for a kid. Like, it was hard for an adult. And, you know, you either sink or you float, right, in life. And that's just where I had to place myself. Anywho, I hope this message was helpful for you guys in some way, shape, or form. I look forward to the next time we see each other. And until then, take care.